Hey, how you guys doing? I was working on an article right now, and I thought I'd kind of give you guys a preview of it and kind of get your feedback on what you thought about this. I'm working on an article for a magazine, and I think the title of the article is going to be like the 5 things you need to know on day one in business, or something along those lines. Things that I kind of wish I had known the first day I went into business, and also the things that I always tell other people. I've been in business 20 plus years now. Is it 20 plus? Yeah, this should be year 21, 2019. It should be about 21 years, yeah. And there's always certain things that I share with people every single time because, trust me, once you start having a little bit of success in business, everybody else who's ever wanted to start a business is going to come to you and say, what's it like? What should I know? Yada, yada, yada. And I like to share the good with the bad. And these items aren't necessarily bad, but they're things that you really, really need to know as a business owner. So here's a couple of them to kind of give you a preview of the article. The first one, in no particular order, the first one is that, unlike you see on the internet a lot these days, business is not all coffee shops and first class business trips and fast cars and living on the beach and doing the laptop lifestyle thing. I've enjoyed really great moments in business. Probably some of the greatest moments with friends and family have been a result of either being on a business trip or as a result of benefiting from being in business. But I can tell you, I've never ever sat in the sand on the beach with my laptop and made money. I've never rented a Porsche or a Ferrari or a Tesla and made money and taken pictures by it. And I've never held a wad of $100 bills and put that on the internet. That's really not what business is. And it's not sitting in coffee shops all the time. I do my share of sitting in coffee shops, but it's not, kind of calculated back with a ginormous Friends, sitcom style coffee shop. It's headphones on, banging on the keyboard, almost being, as antisocial as possible. It's one of those weird things where I like being in a coffee shop for the noise and the food and the coffee, but I'm trying to be as antisocial as possible as I could when I'm there. So that's one of the tips I would give someone on their very first day in business is, life, entrepreneur life, running a business, the good ones, the people who are really doing a great job, are heads down, busting ass all the time. They'll put the good stuff on social media. We all love to put the good stuff on social media because we love that little dopamine hit of that like or that love or that heart or whatever. But most of the time, and I'm going to say maybe 70-80% of the time in business, your head's down, alone, banging out code or working on a proposal or doing marketing, or you're in meetings trying to flesh out problems, or you're on conference calls, you're on Zoom calls, you're doing all the things that makes to churn the business. You don't have time for selfies all day long of you boarding first class or tapping somebody else's glass, making a toast about having champagne in first class. If business is doing very well, I would always encourage you to fly first class. But let me tell you, that just does not happen a lot until your business is doing very well. So that's the first one right there. Business is not all coffee shops and first class flights. Probably the second one I would tell people is that at some point in time in your business, you will cry, you will scream, and you will get really angry, and you will want to give up. Again, no particular order, just there's a lot of emotional roller coaster work going on when you run a business. And there are times when things are going great. I mean, I've had some great times in my business. But there are times when you're going to be, sitting alone in your office and you're going to look at your bank account balance, or you're going to look at your pipeline of business coming in, or you're going to be working on a technical problem, or you're going to have an employee that for some reason, your employee skimmed off $5,000 of your money. And these small private moments, there's nobody around. Oftentimes there's nobody around, and you want to have an outburst of some sort. You want to kick the wall. You want to punch the wall. You want to throw your computer through the window. I tend to emote. I tend to get really frustrated, emote in an anger type of way. Some people just crawl up and cry. I know plenty of entrepreneur friends who have just crawled up for a day and just sobbed because, things just aren't going their way, and they're really questioning whether or not things are worth it. So you gotta go through the entire roller coaster and variety of emotions when you're running a business. So just be prepared for it. It's not gonna happen on day one or day two, may or may not to you, but something is gonna happen in your business to where it's just going to really make you want to pull your hair out and question everything. And in those moments is when you have to be strong and really keep on going. And that's a whole other video there about the psychological factors of getting frustrated and keep on pressing us. So just know that's up and coming in your business. Now, the corollary to that is, I hope, and I cross my fingers for you, that there are going to be amazing times in your business also, where things are going to be going so well. Everything's going to be firing on all cylinders. You're going to have a problem where you have incoming leads and your call waiting kicks in because another incoming lead is trying to call you when you're on the phone with another incoming lead. You're going to have a problem keeping up with your inbox because of all of your Stripe payments coming in because business is going so well, or you're going to be so locked up in meetings that you can't go to the mailbox and get the $5,000 check or the $10,000 check that someone just mailed you, so you just don't have time to go get your money. You're just doing so well. I really hope and pray those things happen for you also, because you really deserve those highs when you when you have those lows there. And probably one of the last tips I would tell someone on their first day of business is that know that going into this thing, you are very likely a commodity business. And what that means is you are very likely not doing something unique. Whether you're a public speaker, there's 1,000 public speakers out there, you're a consultant, a business management consultant, a business process consultant, someone who makes donuts, someone who shines shoes very well, or someone who polishes cars, or somebody who does computer consulting or builds websites. I can pick any number of things out there, and I can tell you that you are a commodity going into business, almost whatever it is, unless you're someone who's inventing something brand new, unless you're an Elon Musk or someone like that who's inventing something brand new. You are inventing something that's already been invented. So first of all, don't let your ego fill up too much or get too big, because you need to realize that as much as you think, I am going to be the best web designer, I'm going to crank out the best web designs at the cheapest price. You know what? That's 5,000 people ahead of you have said that this year. They're going to go in the web design business. You're all in the same market. So the reason it's important to remember that you're a commodity is that you can't differentiate yourself on just what you do. You can't say, I am a web designer, because you know what? I can swing a dead cat and find 20,000 web designers. That's not hard. What you have to get good at, and you've seen me emphasize this in other videos, is the marketing and the branding of your business. That's how you stand out. It's not just by saying, I do web design also. If you're ever at a Toastmasters meeting or any kind of BNI or networking meeting, and someone goes before you and they do the same thing you do, and you stand up and say, my name is Patrick, I do web design, just like Bob does web design. Oh my goodness gracious. You really need to check yourself, because you don't just say you do it like anybody else. We all know that behind the scenes you do web design, but you have to express it in a way to make it interesting. You have to express it in a way that shows you bring value and that you solve a problem. And oftentimes one of the best ways to express yourself is not to say that I do something, it's to say I solve this, or I bring this solution to this, or I relieve this pain point. Some of the best copywriters out there are very good at pushing and twisting the pain points at web copy or print copy or design copy. And so that's what you have to do, is you basically have to show how you relieve somebody else's pain or bring value into your life. I think it was Tony Robbins that said once that we do things for one of two reasons, either to bring pleasure or to avoid pain. So when you're thinking about expressing what you do, when you know that somebody else out there does it, try to have that mindset of, how can I avoid pain with my service? How can I basically help somebody else avoid pain with my service? Or how can I bring them pleasure? How can I do one of those two things? If you have that mindset, and it's reflected in your marketing, it's reflected in your branding, and it's reflected in the way that you present yourself, whether you've got to do an hour-long presentation, you have to do a webinar, you have to do a Facebook Live like this, or you get 30 seconds with somebody on an elevator, and you have to do that whole elevator pitch thing. When you have the mindset of bringing pleasure or avoiding pain, everything you say changes. And again, if you want to know more about this, please go out there and learn more about copywriting. I've talked about this in some of my previous videos, and I'll talk about some of the future videos, but just don't think of yourself as a commodity. Don't think of yourself as a me too business. I do the same thing somebody else does, I just do it cheaper. Or I do the same thing as somebody else does, and I'm local, so you should hire me instead. Just got to think of different ways to get that branding and marketing in there. So cool. As a quick recap, goodness gracious, I hope I remember all these. The first one was you're going to laugh, cry, or scream at some point in time. No, that was the second one. The third one, let me see if I can remember what the first one was. The third one was don't think of yourself as a commodity. So that's really important. And goodness gracious, you know what? My mind already forgot the first point I talked about. Anyways, you can go back and rewind the video and watch it. I saw a couple of you tune in live. Thank you very much. As always, do me a favor, and if this has been useful, comment with your feedback below. Follow the fan page, subscribe on YouTube, rate. This is a podcast over in iTunes, so please make sure you go over and rate the podcast also. Subscribe on YouTube and spread the good word if you believe in the whole StopDoingNothing.com lifestyle. As always, I appreciate your time. Hopefully this will help you change your approach to business. I wish these are the things that people have told me on the very first day of business. And as I get this article published, whatever magazine it'll go in, I will end up sharing that with you on the Facebook fan page. So make sure you follow here. Thanks for watching, you guys. Thanks for listening if you're on the live podcast, and we will talk to you soon.